Hello and welcome back to the Renewables podcast. This is the continuation of the episode we recorded with Aidan. We're going to jump straight back to the conversation with my co-host Sam, where we're going to get into Aidan's backstory, the things he's achieved and things we've got coming in the future. This was a powerful and interesting chat, and it is well worth seeing through to the end. Let's get straight back to the conversation.
And I got diagnosed with ADHD as an adult. So for me, I sit there now and I think, do you know what? That's what makes me how I am now. But if anybody else is out there and has been diagnosed with ADHD or even thinks, do you know what, I'm a little bit like that, I'm a little bit impulsive, I always want more, I'm money driven, or even I'm sport driven, it could be anything. It's impulsive behaviour. The impulsive behaviour of me has always been drive, wanting more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Do you think that the ADHD has been there since you were a kid then, or do you think it's something that's developed from your sort of army days, or?
they say it's genetic.
Right.
I think it's more. I think luckily for me, I got diagnosed as an adult, and that was through somebody else. It weren't through me saying I think I'm a bit mad. I was struggling with PTSD from the past experience of the army. It was more my wife really saying, "Look, you're not right. Like there's something. You're not being a nice person. There's something wrong." And I had to then take challenges out myself and say, "Do you know what? What's going wrong here?" Well, I've had 3 sleepless nights and I've thought about this, I've thought about that. So then I got involved with therapy again. A charity in Doncaster called Talking Therapies. Brilliant place. Anyone out there who's from Doncaster, and I think it's South Yorkshire what do it. You sign up online, you get an appointment with a therapist, you talk about it, and then they give you a plan. That changed my life, changed my perception on home, work, and everything else, because nobody really understands the struggles you go through in your own head.
No.
You can, as a business owner yourself, there's only you what takes it home. Nobody else takes it home.
Yeah, I think the whole mental health thing, obviously it's starting to be a lot more publicised now, but running a business is one of the most difficult things, isn't it? Because you like you mentioned, Matt, you go from looking after yourself, just doing some subcontract, which there's no kind of, I'm not trying to belittle that, but you go from doing that to getting your first employee, your second one, your third one, hiring people in the office, you're getting these other opportunities, making a sidestep into different technologies or different areas of business. And all that does have a bit of a strain, well, quite a big strain on you, especially when you start being responsible for people. And then you have things that go wrong, within business. And it's one of the most difficult things that you can do, in my opinion. But you must have felt that in your business.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, taking work home is a big one for me because my wife's the same as you, she's partner in the business. But it's the kids as well, and having that impact onto them. You start worrying about stuff. Should we really be talking about work as much as we are? There has to be that divide, I think, that you have to force yourself to do sometimes. I mean, you said about being contactable with your customers and things.
Yeah.
I think that's fine in a working day, but I've gotten to a point where people would be WhatsApping and I'd be replying to them 10, 11 o'clock at night. It's like, really? That's not what my time should be focused on at the minute. So I think we all learn those lessons.
Yeah,
obviously my experience is not as extreme as what yours has been. Is that something that was happening through your growth of your business, or was this prior to that?
I think, I would say the growth of the business, because me and my wife get on brilliant, but I would never work with her because...
That's what I said.
Although she was the director of the company and still is, we would clash. And I didn't want that because we get on really well. And for me, and she'll listen to this and she'll probably cringe, and she's an amazing mum. And I feel she's on this planet to be a mum. You put her in a work environment, she's probably the most opinionated person, sometimes good, sometimes bad. We just couldn't work together. But she, behind every man, there's their rock, as they say, and as cliche as that sounds, without Jade, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did. I wouldn't be able to pick the kids up and do the job. I wouldn't be able to take the kids to gymnastics and do the job. So for me, she plays her part massively. But it was the growth of the business really what hit us hard. And I think then with the things what were going on in my own health and mental health, I was like, I've still got to run a business, but I've still got these things going off in my head. And it was actually the therapist what said, I'm going to book you in for an assessment. And it was literally just like that. And I was a bit like, what for? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? I'm 30-year-old, like, you don't have to do that. Like, I've coped all right. I'm all right. I'm struggling with PTSD because I've been in the army and I've been to Afghanistan and I've done things what other people haven't done. So I was kind of blocking it all. And she said, I just want you to go on it. Just do it. Just speak to them. Just do this. Just do that. And within the assessment, it's like loads. I say loads. It's like 4 different people, and I don't know how they do it, but they have to like all agree. Otherwise, it's like not classed as a diagnosis. And the doctor who had done it, he was like, it's you're probably the most definitive answer and the most definitive diagnosis we've had this year. And I was just like, how can you tell that? But I suppose with the way I am and the things I've done and the things I do on a daily basis, even now, like, I'm so driven.
So is this a definitive diagnosis of ADHD?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which as an adult, it was, when I got told it, I was like, a bit negative about it, do you know what I mean? Didn't want to say, oh. And the wife was probably, I think Jade probably deals with things a little bit different now. But she's always said it, like, there's something not right. Like, it's not normal to be going to bed watching a video on how to iron MCCB. Like, it's just not. But when it's like that addictive personality, do you know what I mean? And I'm just so driven.
So that's been something you've gone through recently, just to timeline it then. So
that's
that's quite recent. Your mental health struggles.
Over the last year, yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel like you've got a handle on that now? Then is it?
Yeah, still have struggles. I think the biggest struggle for us financially was we got took for money as a company, which, if anybody out there has, it's you're not on your own. Like, that was probably the hardest thing I've probably ever been through in business. 100% when somebody doesn't pay you, because what you want to do and what you can do are two totally different things. Like, you want to keep your reputation in the industry. You want to go around to this company and say, you owe me this money, mate, pay your money. Just be a man, pay the money. If not, let's sort it out. You can't do that. Like, that's just not, it's not the world we're in anymore.
Yeah.
But it ruined me. It literally did ruin me. We got over it. We really did get over it. And then, obviously, people who follow me on social media, LinkedIn, will see we got bought out. Which, again, for anybody who's got a small company, don't think for 1 minute that there's not somebody bigger and better who wants what you've got. Because I never thought somebody would look at me and go, oh, ALW from Doncaster, they're a great contractor. Get in with them, like, let's buy them. Because it weren't like that. It was, they're doing well at what they're doing. We want to do that, but we ain't got no one to do that. Do you know what I mean? So they more bought the company, but they bought the people in the company.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's the know-how in it. Yeah, 100%.
So with that then, did you obviously retained the position within the company? They wanted to keep your know-how, didn't they? So I guess that's handing over your baby to some extent, where they're the ultimate ones who own that. Yeah. I'm assuming you probably still have some shares in it as well, but you still get that day-to-day control. Is that kind of your role? Right now?
So the deal was like negotiated, and again, all new for me. Solicitors involved, lawyers involved. It was all like, what's going on here? Like, again, little growth in the step, and it's great. And I never used to sit there and think, oh, I'm proud of this, but it's brilliant, innit? Like, I'm proud of it now. But yeah, literally, I didn't want to give it up. But luckily for me, the owner didn't want any involvement anyway. He's like, why would I want to buy you and spend my money if I'm going to have to then luckily for us, and I say luckily, he is the most down-to-earth man I've ever met, and he's so excited about renewables. So they're within recycling, but one of their niche markets is biomass fuels, which then comes hand in hand with sustainability, the growth of sustainability, the future of sustainability, and I think his next step was ultimately renewables.
This is the bit that I'm really interested in, because it's going from the whole journey that we've spoken about to the point where you are then taking that next step. You've been bought by this company that you were talking about, they were in recycling
industry, yeah. So their next step, they do a lot of normal day-to-day household recycling, commercial waste, skips, household waste, but like I say, they also do biomass energy. So they make wooden crickets for power stations for the biomass, which is, again, something I'd never even knew it was a thing, but never really thought anything of it. And I think, they were really interested in just the growth of renewable energy, I guess. So we got on to, obviously, how they'd contacted us, how the contact come about, and we kind of just negotiated really simply, really easily. But there were a lot to take in, because...
Had you worked for this company then on any projects, or did they just...
No, they're from Doncaster.
Right.
So they are from Doncaster. And at the time, Steve, who was my operations manager for ALW, he's now the operations director for Eco-Power Renewables. He knows the owner.
Right.
But it had not come through, "Hi mate, do you want to buy this?" It was like they just knew each other. They go back years, like, don't get me wrong, but not spoke for years. So when they actually got the conversation going, everything just rolled into one. Hence the reason why Steve is now a director, because I owe him quite a lot in terms of, you probably built this relationship really well for me. But I didn't really want to let my baby go, you know. When you started with nothing, scratching about for a Chinese, obviously I don't scratch about for a Chinese anymore. I have a couple of, do you know what I mean? But no, yeah, when you've started with nothing, I didn't want to let it go, mate. I still, like I say, I was obsessed. I got to the point, me and Mark were just saying there, I got to the point where I weren't obsessed with making an install look neat. I'm obsessed now with an install looking neat and wanting it neat, but I wasn't obsessed in doing that anymore. I was now obsessed with business strategies and sales strategies. So when this opportunity come, it was like I'd just gone through a massive financial struggle, and everyone thinks you're loaded and think, "Oh, he's got a nice truck," and you think, "Yeah, it's not even mine, mate, I just pay for it," and now I'm struggling to pay for it because I've just been took for loads of money. So when you're going through that struggle and you get through it, and this opportunity then came, and I was like, Jesus, this could be absolute break for me, because where I want to get to, even though what's just happened, we've got through it, and we're fine, and we're still absolute striving. I was like, these could really take me to the next level, because it is by no way or means an open checkbook to spend all their money, but it's financially, Aidan, go and build the business more. But with a different approach. So I basically said that the biggest deal for me was, I don't want to do this if you're just going to make me go and sell and bring in a salesman and sell solar or sell wind or try and push into the biomass market. I'm not interested, because I haven't built my business on that. Everything's been on trust, loyalty, respect, and just being honest. So when I sat down with the owner, he was like, love that. Do you know what I mean? Love that. Got the deal done. I'm still effectively it's a 30%, but it's 50% because it's me and Steve sharing the company. The owner, all he does is plug us in terms of the people he can get us in front of is people who I would have never imagined getting in front of. So for us, it's like, it was a no-brainer, do you know what I mean?
So there's been some investment into the business alongside that deal.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking back through the story you've told. It's kind of, you've not really invested a great deal yourself. You've kind of built it as you've gone, which resonates with me. That's kind of what I've done. I've never really chucked a load of money at things. I've just traded my way to where we are.
I think because Mark, I didn't really know business. I wasn't taking anything out. I wasn't even taking a wage from the company. Me and Jade paid ourselves the minimum. Like any accountant will tell you, pay minimum, less tax, more divvies, and jobs are good. And we were like, yeah, sound. Just do that, because that's what we've been told. Before you know it, when you fall on hard times, it's like, oh, we have got a break in the diary. Yeah, okay, now I'm going to have to put some money back in. But I'd not took it out. So for me, it was all in the business, which was good. But I never had a load of money sat in my bank, because it was all in the business. So when this buyout come, I was thinking, selfishly, like, I've got this money in this business account. What happens with that? And I'm not worried to speak about it. There's no secret. The owner was amazing. It was like, you need that money. You need that money. I don't. I'm invested in you. I'm invested in what you are going to do and what you're going to bring to the table. So what I want you to do is, the accountants will deal with all that. That's yours. Here's my investment. Crack on. And for me, it was, I need you to be honest with me and say, there's going to be no pressure for profit made instantly. Because we've got all this pipeline from ALW still coming across in terms of the contracting stuff. But I never had, I had a website, mate, it was cheap. Do you know what I mean? But the guys who did it, brilliant company, brilliant people, but it was cheap. Never pushed it, never SEO. Knew about it all, and could never really afford it. So to build an SEO, you took £500 a month maybe. I could never afford that as a spare outgoing. So for me, it was, I need a CRM system. I need to be able to build. I need to be able to have the growth, get the right people in. And he's so down to it. He's like, all right, mate, let's chat. Just go and get on with it. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't bother us. Tells us about random meetings that we might have and people who he's putting us in front of. And these might be like directors of multi-billion-pound turnover companies. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Do you feel like less pressured that you, I mean, we just spoke a minute ago about the holes in the diary and the worry of that when you're the business owner and going through that. Do you feel that a lot of that pressure's lifted away from you now you've had that investment and you feel a bit more secure?
Yeah, because I think they're invested in me and they know we can do it. For me, personally, I probably let it get me down a little bit, because I think as a managing director now of a company, in terms of business strategy, I shouldn't be having holes in my diary. My company shouldn't be having holes in my diary, because I feel like that's a little bit of a fail from upper management. Do you know what I mean? But we've just gone through an acquisition. We're in a building phase. For me, we've probably got 6 to 12 months of this where we probably possibly might run at a loss to build the company. You know what it's like, just hearing the last podcast from the commercial guy, some of these projects take 6 to 8 months to get over the line. We've got a few in feasibility now. And when I say feasibility, you're going through DNOs, electrical surveys, technical designs, etc., etc. These aren't 2-minute jobs, do you know what I mean? And these companies might be sat on a board meeting with a director away who can't make a decision without him. He might be on holiday for 2 weeks, then he comes back and then she's away. And so you've kind of got to have that financial cash flow and investment there to see yourself out for them potential 3 months that a job might start to finish. In terms of, it could be start to finish before you've even got boots on ground. You're waiting for a DNO nowadays. Average DNO now is like, what, 60 days or something?
For your size projects.
For a commercial.
Yeah. It's really interesting, because I know, speaking to Jordan at My Energy, they've obviously gone through different funding runs and they've been invested in heavily. And what she said to me, I don't know if she said it on the podcast or just privately, is that as soon as you get that investment, for her, and I'm sure it's different for everybody, you can feel that pressure because it's someone else's money. And I know for me as a business owner, this year is the first year that I have taken any money. I've literally burnt through my savings, running the company, trying to build the company, and part of that was been bad accountancy advice, but actually I feel like as a business owner, when it's your money, I put my £5,000 redundancy in that I got from the company that shut down when I was literally just coming out of my time. That's what I built the company on. And then over the years, I'd basically put about 30 grand into the company, like with just little bits here and there to tide us over and, invest in this and all this sort of stuff. And before you know it, you think, if something happens tomorrow that is completely out of my control, COVID, whatever, a war, or, not to get too down about it, but something that's completely out of your control, and that company has to shut down, and that money gets sucked out of the company through wages, through bills, through this, that, and the other, you find yourself in a position where you've not earned any money out of all of the stress. And that's something that came really after speaking to people that had hit really bad times, speaking to and listening to Jordan actually at Minergy, quite a big inspiration to me really after chatting to her and things. And she basically on another podcast, not our one, mentioned about taking the money to buy the house that she's got, and basically just sold some of her shares and said, if everything goes wrong tomorrow, I have got my dream home. Yeah. And I think that is the vicious loop that a lot of business owners, and I include myself in that, find themselves in, because they're like, right, what's the next thing? The next thing. And actually, if something goes wrong that is outside of your control, it might have been in your control and something goes wrong, but the worst thing to happen would be you put all this headspace and thought and pressure on yourself, and then something goes wrong and you haven't got any money to even support your family with, because you've put it all into the business. So that, for me, just listening to you about having that money in ALW and all that, it's like it's sat there and you kind of get comfortable with it being sat there, but a company is a separate entity, isn't it? It's like a different person, and you feel like it's your money, but it's not. It's the company's money, and it's very difficult to get that out there if you can't get out there if you go bankrupt and everything. There's all the other debtors to pay first. So that then became a priority for me, was not being greedy about it, but was to be responsible to my own situation and my own family, because if money needs to go back in, you can soon put it back in, but if everything goes wrong, it's very difficult to take it out.
100%.
And so that's been a really difficult one.
It's financial management at a personal level, isn't it? I think sometimes we're often given this reputation as business owners as being selfish. And you said about the car, people see the car, people see the house, people think you're doing as well as it looks, when the reality is you're often putting others before yourself. You're the one not getting paid that month because you want to pay your staff. Yeah. You're the one who's not getting the dividends that year because all the profit has gone because something went wrong and one of your customers don't pay you. So we have those risks and challenges, and you're dead right. You do want to get a reward for your efforts. Everybody goes to work to make money, don't we, at the end of the day? Business owners and employees exactly the same, and taking those steps, Sam's really sensible. I mean, there's the other side that you've seen now. Obviously, what you're building is an asset. You've obviously sold part of that and had financial compensation because of that. And overall, renewables will have a value in itself, Sam, from the work you're
100%.
doing. So it's not just the money in the bank. Sometimes you lose sight of that as well, I think, as a business owner, what you've actually built.
I think you've got to look at what you're building.
Value.
That is 100%, mate, because I would have never have thought ALW had any value. Do you know what I mean? Like, but you've got to value you, haven't you? You've got to value, as your company, you value yourself within your company. As your company, you value yourself within your company. So that company has value. Like you say, you're building an asset. And I think that's probably what you forget. Do you know what I mean? Like, why you actually... Of course, we're all doing it to get by and be financially better off, but the longevity of it is, especially within our industry, where there's so many people come in, out, and I will talk about the sales companies, because they come in, out, and just go, oh, they're a contractor, get in touch with them. We're the ones who are here for the longevity and having to pick up the pieces, but that's the asset that you're building. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're building your experience. You're not just trying to build the bank balance. You're building the experience. You're building the reputation. You're building the name and the skills within your team. So you're not having to do all that yourself. And I think that is quite hard sometimes to put a pound and pence to.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's one of those where it's almost more valuable than pounds and pence, because there'll always be that other opportunity as long as you can stay in the game, and there'll always that other opportunity come. But if you haven't got the skills to to do it. And like through your story, sometimes you do have to put yourself in that deep end and force yourself to learn those skills. But if you haven't got the skills to actually make on that opportunity that comes, then it's a failure. You know, you don't get the reward, you don't get to the next step until the next opportunity comes. And that's not always a negative thing. Sometimes you can overstretch and go, I've not done that to my best of my ability, but next time you've learned from that. It's just a continued progression. So as part of this not I could say buyout, but this merger or whatever you want to call it, where do you kind of, so you're hands-on the office side, the sales side, and so do you tend to use sort of contractors within that business then, or is it ALW's staff that
so the guys from ALW just literally just two pips across, same as my other staff. We've stayed as ALW had no debt or anything, so we were a reputable company on Companies House, etc. So the owners basically just said, look, we'll just change the name. So that's all we did. So ALW then went to Eco-Power Renewable Energy. Staff stayed the same. We've just about to set on our first sales member. We're just taking a little bit more of a different approach on the sales, because what I've seen doing the labour-only contracting is sell. It's all about the sales. It's all about getting the sales in. We've been to sites and the contractor is on site, and then you're kind of getting tarnished with a bad brush from the bad experience that they've had with the sales company, which then brings a negative spin on the job, when really we're there just to install the job and do a good job for the sales company. My strategy on it when we got acquired was, I don't want to be sell. We want to build relationships. So we want to go more into the carbon reporting. So because we can offer different services, different technologies in terms of electrical installation, which we are day in, day out anyway. So for instance, we want to build a relationship with a company, give them information about their spending, build a relationship with them and give them different options. So for instance, if a company's a high turnover company in terms of energy usage, for instance, I don't know, there could be a mechanical company using large machinery, etc. Massive roof space, like that. Sales company, just get loads of solar on here, nice big job, reduce the bill. Whereas I want to give them an option. So if they've not got LED lighting, maybe do that in the first year. Do you know what I mean? Change the lighting for them. Reduce it steady. Do you know what I mean? At least then you're building that trust, and then the client, for me, the client is going to trust us a lot more when it comes to the time of, have you thought about wind? Have you thought about the spare land you've got over there, ground mount system? Have you thought about solar? Or actually what we've found is you're using massive amount of diesel in a diesel spend on a fuel spend, because all your fleet of 25 salesmen are all driving about in diesel BMWs. Let's change your fleet to electric. Let's do EV charging and give them options. I don't want to just be this company selling solar, because that's not why I went forward with this acquisition, because I've got a goal and a driven goal, and it's to be a company what's around in 10 years. I'm 30-year-old. Do you know what I mean? I want to be here in the next 20 years. And then I want somebody else to take the company on or whatever. I want to be, I'm not in it for a short win, if you like.
Yeah, I think that comes to probably something that a lot of companies, including ourselves, have thought about that, where you're actually more of a consultant on that for that company, and actually looking deeper into, where are the best gains. I mean, solar is a great one, but LEDs are probably one of the fastest paybacks you can have within a business that has the lights on all the time. And actually having a frank conversation with them and going, yep, solar would be great, but why don't we do solar and look at your fleet? Or that is definitely where businesses like yourself that want to position themselves for the long term, in my view, really need to be looking, because otherwise, if the bottom falls out of the solar market, or you can't get the solar kit or whatever, you need that other string to your bow, don't you?
You're in a few more pools, aren't you? Collecting
work.
Like you said, if you're just tied to solar, you become known as a solar company.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be doing more things to cover yourself off for those quiet spots that might come sector to sector. And you mentioned there the trust with the customer as well. That is so important. At a commercial level, you're not speaking to someone who owns the building. It's not their asset for life. You know, they're going to put solar panels. They're looking at it, spending a bit of budget for a year. So they might have a bit of budget to do the LED lights, as you said. You can help them with that, and then evidence what you've done for them. Next year, there may be more budget for the solar panels.
And that's, you touched on the evidence, that testimonial is what's important in it, because people buy referrals, people buy testimonials. If you go and do, I don't know, for instance, a solar carport, you do a solar carport, somebody else sees that solar carport, right, they can do solar carport. That's fine, but what testimonial have they got and given from that client about that carport? Could have been an absolute shower. Do you know what I mean? The groundworks could have been horrendous on it, but if you've got that testimonial, you've built that relationship, and what you guys are doing with podcasts, imagine getting a client on here who's used your services, sat down, speaking honestly, we actually had a bit of a nightmare with that. We had to change the inverter because we couldn't get the stock. And it's all about how you deal with things, isn't it? So if you can express that, and I think if social media and website, etc., is massive in it. It's absolutely huge.
Yeah, well, we've had one of my customers on, and luckily it went all right.
Yeah.
So Max trying to line one of his up, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, the whole social media side of things, I don't think it's as scary for a lot of people now that it's been around for a bit longer. But there's still a lot of businesses that don't embrace it, and I know why, because it's a big change, and it's not, you know, leaflets and those sort of avenues still have their benefits, but social media is so accessible to everybody that, for me, like I say to customers a lot of the time and other contractors, it's you build that trust, but you're also so visible that if you're lying to people day in, day out, it's not going to be long before those people find you on social media and then comment on everything. So it's almost offering that reassurance to people that actually, if they look at the comments, you won't find anyone that... You might find people that disagree with what you say because they have a different technical view, but for you as a company, they're not saying they missold me this, or... No. You know.
I've never looked at it like that either, and you're absolutely right. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at Google reviews, don't we? What do we do when we're going on holiday? We look at Google reviews or Trustpilot. What's the first thing you do? You look at the ones.
Yeah,
you do. Why have we got the ones? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So the same for business, isn't it? And if, like you say, if somebody's commented on your video and said, yeah, you're absolutely right, Sam, that burden mesh, what you did was absolutely tosh. Do you know what I mean? You've got to then... But you've done a video there, which I thought were brilliant, explaining you installed that. Now you're changing it because it's rubbish. You found out it's rubbish, and you're not going to use it again.
Yeah.
I thought that was a brilliant tool and use of social media.
It builds the trust, doesn't it? That, I mean, like you mentioned, and the common theme throughout this full conversation that we've had has been about trust, has been about people, been about reputation, and obviously companies use a lot of Facebook ads, and you know, you get into these golden eras. I've seen it from early on when I was an apprentice during the solar time. You know, there's the boom eras of all these technologies, and companies come in and just flood the internet with cheap deals, and they obviously get jobs from it because people are sucked in by that. But the ones that I've seen, or the majority of the ones that I've seen that stand the test of time, are the ones that build the rapport with customers and get the reviews, that they don't offer everything for you know, bottom of the barrel pricing, but they build the company on quality. You know, I'm 30 as well, and so I'm new into the game, really. You have people that are in it 20, 30 years that know business inside out, but still the business that they know inside out adapts all the time. But the thing that doesn't really change after speaking to a lot of them, and hopefully speaking to more of them on this podcast, is that the reputational side, the trust side, the buying from people, that doesn't change, because as humans we're very much a trusting species, where we want to trust the people that we're with, you know, going back for, you know, hunting partners and all this sort of stuff. It's a really inbuilt, almost just an inbuilt thing that we have within us, that, you know, they weren't looking at Facebook ads to go and catch a wildebeest or something. You know, they are trusting people, and that is just something that's built into us all. And so setting up a business, like it sounds like you have, based on that is absolutely the right way that I can see. Definitely.
Yeah, honesty is so important. I think sometimes with social media, people get a bit disillusioned. I think where they think you've got to be an influencer or you've got to pretend. When I think the best approach is to just be honest, not be fearful of it. I tell my kids who now work for me this when they've done some really good work. So why do you take a picture of that and put it on your Instagram? Something to be proud of, and they hardly ever do because they're fearful of some of the comments that might come back. I'm like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
And so what? Someone might say something that's not quite right, but I think the fear can stop you doing that, and the upsides from doing it are massive. I mean, my use of social media, I noticed with like Instagram and Twitter and YouTube, is you reach singular consumers, but LinkedIn, we have reached customers who spent hundreds of thousands with us over 5-10 years consistently, and that's from one contact.
Yeah.
So that is a really powerful platform that a lot of people disregard.
Yeah.
But there's many decision makers on there. You found them out from
that's built us.
chat. It's
literally has built us.
Such a powerful platform if you were looking to scale a business, because you don't need to reach 100 people on YouTube who want to buy a domestic solar system from you.
Yeah.
One person.
Yeah.
And they can put you all over the country doing solar jobs.
Yeah. It's the good thing about LinkedIn is you can, if you have yourself like a goal or a campaign in yourself and you say, do you know what, this month I'm going to reach this person, the tool is amazing, isn't it? You search the company, you go to people, you find the facilities manager, you find the head of property, and you just approach them and just, like you say, just be honest. I'm not here to sell you out, I'm here just to ask for an opportunity. Give me an opportunity once and we'll deliver, and then
go
from there. And we did a free job once, just to kind of get a foot in the door. It got us 11 joule. We used Project EV pedestals because that's what they picked. But we did a free EV charger at the director's house, and it got us that's you know what I mean. You just
open
do
the door to bigger things.
Yeah. No, it is, and we could speak to you for forever because it is just literally like
brilliant.
Being down the pub having a chat, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this is, and hopefully this episode, this podcast, will reach others that are in this position of thinking about, taking that next step, taking that opportunity, and also people that have taken that opportunity and are looking back and kind of reminiscing about it as well, because time flies so fast that you kind of forget those little steps. It's already, in my mind, kind of made me remember a few little leaps of faith when solar was very, very difficult to sell. That I made. I'm sure it has for you, Mark, in not even just in renewables, but just in other kind of steps in your side of things. But was there anything, sort of a last sign-off thing that you wanted to say to anybody about?
I think the only thing really, mate, to get across from me is I just want more people to understand that. Just if you get given an opportunity, just take it. Take it and make it work. Because if it fails, we just learn from it, don't we? We're humans. You make a mistake, you learn from it. Do you know what I mean? So, if there's one thing I could say is just within any industry, if you get given an opportunity, that opportunity has come to you because they want you, or it's come to you because it's the right time for you to take that opportunity, and just take it and give it your all. Do you know? Just if you're gonna go in half-assed, don't bother. Do you know what I mean? Give it your all, go for it. And realistically, just work hard, innit? And for you too, thanks very much for having me down and doing what you guys are doing, because it's brilliant. I watch your stuff and look at your social medias, and it's great. And we should all just do more of it, shouldn't we? And this is great, meeting new people, and like I say, we sit here all night and just chat. Next time we probably should just go to a pub and have a pint.
Exactly that. Sounds like a good idea.
We need a post-podcast pint. It's got all the P's, hasn't it? But no, it's been fantastic having you on, and it's made me massively reflect, and also energized me to push myself forward as well, and everything. But any last thoughts from you, Matt?
No, just that there's such a lot of inspiration from listening to you personally, and I'm sure other people watching the podcast will feel the same. So I'll drop a link in the description to your LinkedIn profile for anyone who wants to reach out and hassle you and pick your brains. I think there's a story there that a lot of people are going to resonate with. So full credit to you, and just good luck with the
really appreciate
future.
it, mate. Thank you. Thanks very much for having me.
Not a problem. Do you want to lead us out, Max? Does that lead us in?
I can do, yeah. So for anyone who is watching, if you've enjoyed the podcast as always, please don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to grow this. It's still very, very new. Give us a thumbs up. That's even better. And if you've got any questions that you want to drop in alongside the show, stick them in the comments. We'll look out for those and reply as always. Otherwise, we'll be back next week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.